Hello and welcome to the Navisworks Basics tutorial series. Today we are going to be going over how to take different measurements within Navisworks Freedom. This is a pretty simple video. To start off here, we are going to navigate up to the Review tab up in the top left. You can see around my cursor. Click on the Review tab and that opens up a couple different buttons here. The first being the Measure tool itself. So if we just click there, that opens up the point-to-point measurement. And there are a variety of different measure tools that we can use. The most basic being point to point. However, there are, as you can see, a couple different options ranging from point line to angle to single point. A lot of stuff you can do. Today, we're just going to demonstrate the point to point. Now, once I click on that, it has a blue square surrounding it, which means it's selected. And as you can see, my selector has now turned into a crosshair with a square surrounding it. And just to make it a little bit more easy to see that square, what that square does around my crosshair is indicate what plane I am actually on. So as I change planes from the wall to wall and from the ceiling to the walls, the square changes so that you know exactly what plane you're measuring from. So for this example, let's say we want to measure the door. We want to measure the width. We want to measure the height of this door. Easiest way to do that is make sure we are selected on our point. Now, if we just single click on the corner of that door, now we are free to drag to whatever point that we want. And let's single click on the other corner of the door. And now we are free to move. The measurements are now locked in. As you can see, there are a couple different numbers that pop up. This yellow one is the distance just from point to point straight up. That is the 14 feet, 4 inches, and that is just straight from point to point. These other measurements are the measurements from the different axes. So these points traveled 12 feet and 6 inches in the x-axis and 6 feet, 12 inches. That's really just 7 feet. I don't know why I didn't write 7 feet, but that is 7 feet in the z-axis. And we really didn't go anywhere in the y-axis, just a quarter of an inch there. So let's try this again. We can see that it measures, the yellow one measures just from point to point. Then the X is measured in the red, 26 feet 2 inches. And in the blue, the Z at 3 feet 6 inches. Now we can also lock these axes. Let's say we only wanted to know the Z axis and we didn't want to get any kind of interference. So now this locks us straight up and down on that Z axis. And there are a couple different locks here that you can select from: parallel, perpendicular, the X, Y, and Z axis. But let's say you're taking a lot of measurements and it's getting kind of cluttered. Right now I'm locked in the Z axis, so I'm taking a whole lot of vertical measurements. But there's a lot of measurements here, and how exactly do we get rid of those? Well, it's pretty simple. You just go up to the right section here. There is a button that says clear, and upon a single click on the clear button, it will erase all of the measurements that you have just taken. So that is the brief summary of how measurements work within Navisworks Freedom.